what is the core of an extroverted decider? People have this idea that it's being a martyr, it's being overly giving. Do you really think half the population, how many people exist?
8.1 billion.
Do you really think 4 billion people are martyrs and the other 4 billion are selfish? That's the joke. The joke is if you have an extroverted decider, on some level, you're thinking you're the martyr and you're resentful that people don't see you that way because you're not. Okay, let's say that for a second. I saw this cartoon and I thought this really perfectly demonstrates the DE role. So this cartoon I saw is a bunch of Disney princesses getting advice from a counselor after them following their dreams didn't work out. And the counselor's like, what did you think was gonna happen? And it's funny, it's meant to be a critique on Disney follow your dreams thing. But what I think is interesting in these cartoons is the giraffe role. That's the role of the counselor. That is the DE role, where you're seeing the tribe, you're seeing what they're doing, what they're messing up. And the giraffe person here is giving advice. What did you think was gonna happen? Didn't you see this red flag? Has this worked out for anybody else? It's like a TE role, looking at the introverted feeling that has a dream, that has a desire that they went for, and it didn't work out. And then the extroverted thinking is coming out and is what did you think was gonna happen? That is TE versus FI. You're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb. Why am I sad? The stronger that voice is in your head, or the more experience you have doing that to other people, the more you're gonna do that to yourself. And the more you're gonna, in this case, squeeze out your true personal desires that don't make any sense, that might not be realistic. And in some cases, you can really squeeze it out to the point where you don't even hear it anymore. And where does it go? It doesn't disappear, it goes unconscious. You'll even see this as a common pitfall in DE YouTube channels. Obviously not everybody falls into it, and especially the double deciders are better, is that there's not enough of them in their content. It's either just podcast, play energy, or it's blaster, I'm gonna teach you something, I'm gonna report something. This is what other people are doing, this is what other people are saying, this is giving a platform to someone else. But it's okay, what about you? And it becomes a little bit wow, I can just go to the source and see what this person has to say. Or maybe I just watch this little podcast of yours, but I actually like the person that's being interviewed. I don't really know you. And of course, on the flip side, DIs have the opposite problem of nobody cares what you think, or nobody cares what you think about this thing. I just reviewed Taco Bell's new hot sauce, and here is 30 minutes of what I think. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. All right, so this unconscious DI is why DE deflection oftentimes doesn't work, why all of the DE points that you're racking up of doing stuff for people is getting undermined in this other area. So you're either TE, getting other people to agree with something that is seemingly in their best interest, that actually it's what you really want, and they resent you for it, then they still hold it against you. It's okay, fine. This person is kind of badgering me to do this. They're getting a yes out of me. We'll do it, but it's gonna count onto your account. And then the DE is thinking, well, no, you said yeah, and you said yes, and you were the one who wanted to do it. It's no, you kind of badgered us into doing it. You're consciously doing all this stuff for people, and then on this other side, you're using your credit card, and you're not seeing that bill is coming due against all the stuff that you're doing. Or the FE version is, you're not sharing what you think, and on your side, I heard you lost your job, are you doing okay? Look, take all the time you need. I know people are saying you're a deadbeat, but I think you should really focus on your health. And you're yeah, thanks, I'm doing it. Wait, people are saying I'm a deadbeat? No, I don't think that, but that's just what people are saying. It's you're not realizing if you're making the person feel bad on some level, they're associating those bad feelings to you. Because if you really do hold some kind of resentment, or you do really think something, it's just gonna come through. It's gonna, just because you're unconscious of it, or you think you're hiding it, you're not. So if you're an extroverted decider, you're good at seeing the DE point of view of your own life, which is, I got influenced by these people in my past. My parents said this, and I learned this from that person. My teachers taught me that, etc., etc. All external focused influence on you. That's cool, and everybody should be able to see their actions in their life from that perspective. That's gonna be a partial explanation. So then you also need to be able to see your life and your actions purely from your self-interested perspective. That also tells a story. Why were you in that abusive relationship? Well, it made me feel safe, it made me feel validated. I am bad at making decisions, and so I offload it to the other person, and then I resent them for it. That is purely your self-interest. Or another good example of someone in my life recently broke up with someone, and they're I can't believe they're mad at me. All I did was care, and I would never say anything bad about them. And people are so mean and ungrateful. It's whoa. Okay, let me tell you how you're being selfish. You dragged this relationship on for an extra year when you didn't have feelings for the person because you didn't feel comfortable being alone. You didn't trust in your own ability to make money or be stable. That's extremely selfish and self-interested. You just wasted someone's year. And you're not seeing that your desire to make sure that nobody hates you is self-interested because you're not willing to be the bad guy. So you broke up with someone, you wasted someone's time. At least let them think that you're the bad guy. It's what, you're gonna throw a bunch of chaos in their life and not even let them feel the vindication of having a villain? That benefits who? You! Because that's the unspoken transaction that you want from people. Here's a list of common archetypes. I would love to be the ENTJs are these ones and the FE ones are these ones, but I've kind of seen it go all over the place. And the way that you know it's a transaction is when it falls apart and you're mad. If you're really being generous, you wouldn't care about getting anything back. And that's okay to expect something back, but you just have to be conscious of it. The thing you have to be aware, if you have an extroverted function at the top, even if you're an introverted person on average, if you have an extroverted function, in this case, extroverted thinking or feeling at the top, you have a bias towards thinking that the problem was on the outside and not seeing that some problems are on the inside. I can kind of go on about this forever, but like you'll have a problem with like comparison. Man, I thought I was bad with comparison, but if you look at the EJs in my life, their kid is doing this and our kid is doing that. Our house is like this and their house is like that. You will see an internal issue where you're pissed off for whatever reason, you don't feel good enough, and then you'll take it out on the outside. It's like, why is our house like not clean? It's like, oh, okay, we're cleaning it. Oh, well, how come our self-service never works? My friend, she always has service. Okay, we'll get a new self-service. Oh, and this pasta, it sucks. Okay, I made the pasta, but let's keep going. Oh, my family, they're just a bunch of losers. How come everybody else's family is doing so much better? Hey, I'm your family. Right, this goes back to like you're taking out the loans on the credit card that you're not seeing when you're spilling on other people when you're in a bad state. And then you're undermining all of the good stuff that you're doing for people. But this extroverted versus introverted, it goes deep and it's very nuanced. Let me try to explain it. Even if you resolve things outside, where it's like going out and resolving something with a person, like, oh, hey, I'm sorry I did that. You know, I see that I was being selfish. And that is sure, it's acknowledging your internal state. It's reconciling you versus the other person, but that's still solving something in the extroverted world, which is important. The introverted side of that is, and honestly, it's not just DEs, everybody does this. You need to be aware of like what an extroverted and introverted problem is, where you're trying to convince people and you're telling people your story. It's like, yeah, you know, my mom did this to me, or like my ex-boyfriend, he did this. And I think DEs especially kind of struggle with this. It's like, why would I go to therapy when they're the ones that messed up? It's because you're the one that's broken. I'm sorry that was unfair and whatever, but like, you know that saying where it's like not your fault, but it is your responsibility? Because at the end of the day, people will hold resentment towards their parents, and then their parents grow old and they die, and you're still holding that resentment. Or that boyfriend that screwed you over, okay, well, he's off, he's married with kids, and you'll never see him again. You need to now resolve those things yourself. Whether you're there and it's someone else's fault, whether you're there and it's your fault, it doesn't matter. At this point, it's all on you. It's like my third grade teacher used to tell us, sweetheart, nobody loves you and you're in this world alone. It's starting to rain in my studio, so I'm gonna take that as a sign to sign off. An example of a DE person. I think this guy's an ESFP.
We got Aiden Dennis, dog. Dodie Devon, dog. Sir Hale, dog. He scored 5 touchdowns against Southside. RJ Hogue, dog. Sam Kale, I didn't even know he played running back, but he's a dog. Evan Linker, man. He's a linebacker in my eyes, but I guess he can run the ball. Dog.